We here on this channel love celebrating individuality within sports, and one of the best ways to do that is by wearing a certain jersey number. Sometimes jersey numbers could be random, but sometimes jersey numbers can be intentional, have a specific message, and really mean something. So today I want to talk about the jersey numbers a little bit. A jersey number can really highlight an NBA basketball player's journey, especially when they change their jersey numbers. Over here is Dennis Rodman, as you can obviously see, because he wears the 91, he wears the 73. So Dennis Rodman changed from 10 to the number 91 and 73 because in Detroit and San Antonio, the number 10 was available. In Chicago, it was not. So what Rodman ended up doing was picking 91, which is, 9 plus 1 equals 10. Same thing with 73, 7 plus 3 equals 10. Now, the 70 over here is because Dennis Rodman actually wanted to wear the number 69. But, good old David Stern wasn't going to have that one. So he picked 70, which is the closest thing to it. And as you can see, Mark Cuban has that jersey. There are not many of these jerseys that exist because he didn't play in this jersey, but this happened. In my research and doing my digging, I figured out that a lot of NBA jersey changes happen because a player might get moved to a team and that jersey number is retired. For those of you that don't know, when a jersey number is retired, that means that they cannot wear that jersey. The Celtics have 24 jerseys retired. And as you can see in basketball, a lot of the jerseys are usually the single digit and lower numbers on the scale, but they're gone. So what a lot of players have to do when they go to the Celtics is that they have to improvise. And that leads to stuff like this. Dennis Schroeder had to wear the number 71 because 17 was taken. Blake Griffin, every number that Blake Griffin's worn in the league up until then, the Celtics had retired, so he picked 91. Think about another basketball player that's ever worn the number 57. Nothing comes to mind for me. And I know that I'm probably never going to personally see it, but I do wonder what will happen if so many jerseys have to get retired even more so, right? Jason Tatum wears number 0. Is that getting retired? Where does this all end? But the thing here is that having a lot of jersey numbers retired means that you're a very decorated franchise. There have been so many great players that have historically played for your team that it would be weird if someone else wore that jersey number, right? We'll get to something like that in a second. One of my favorite jersey number journeys is Carmelo Anthony, who wore the number 22 in high school, then wore the number 15 in college and with his first stint in Denver, and then when he went to the Knicks, changed to number 7. Now, of course, 22 minus 15 equals 7, and that's how he got there. And for those of you that got mad at me for not putting Carmelo Anthony in the NBA headbands video, I apologize. My bad. But one of my favorite jersey number changes has nothing to do with any of these. It has something to do with Melo choosing the 00. Now, the 00 is kind of not hallowed ground, but I find it awesome whenever someone wears a 00 because 0 and 00 are two different jersey numbers in basketball. It matters. And I think a really cool thing here is that Carmelo Anthony gave a lot of explanations as to why he changed to a 00, whether it's infinity, simplicity. And we don't get that many explanations of why players change their jersey numbers. Well, even if we do, it's not like making a headline that often. I mean, we have, of course, Kobe going from 8 to 24. Then we have LeBron going from 23 to 6, then back to 23. But I feel like over the course of the entire league, sometimes when a player changes their jersey number, it's not the biggest deal of the offseason. But I like to think of it as a symbolism for a new era, a new journey. And again, it goes from player to player, but that's what I like to think of it as in terms of a fan perspective, being like, oh, this is 00 Carmelo Anthony now. Oh, number 6 was LeBron when he was in Miami, that kind of thing. The one Melo number I want to focus in on a little bit more is the number 15, because that is the same number that Jokic wears. So to have two players of that stature be given the same number, it kind of doesn't happen that often. This is one of those times where an NBA jersey number can be seen as a message, because Carmelo Anthony saw it as the Denver Nuggets organization being very petty because of how Carmelo Anthony left the team, how his team, how his time in Denver kind of ended. That's how he saw it.
Look me in my eyes. You had to feel away when they gave Jokic that 15, bro, because that's Melo.
Hell yeah.
Did you think it was a petty maneuver?
It was a petty maneuver. It wasn't like, oh, we got numbers to choose from. It was like, here,
take this one.
You got 15.
Ooh.
And y'all put Jokic in the middle of that.
If you want more on the Carmelo Anthony, George Karl Nuggets head coach, Nuggets organization feud, there's a ton of good videos out there on the internet already. Sometimes in very special cases, a jersey number can actually be unretired. So for example, when Cade Cunningham was the #1 pick, he got Chuck Daly's family's blessing to wear the number 2. The number 2 in the Detroit Pistons organization was retired for Chuck Daly because of the Pistons' 2 championships that he won with the organization. So that number was retired. The number that Cade Cunningham had been wearing in high school and in college was 1 and 2. Now 1 is retired for Chauncey Billups and 2 is retired for Chuck Daly. I felt that this was a really big deal that Cade was able to wear this number, because I feel like that kind of felt like a blessing, being like, hey, you're really good. We see you as someone that's going to change the actual course of the franchise, and it has paid off tremendously. And it takes something really special to get a jersey unretired. That doesn't happen often. But you know what I think should happen more often? I think that jersey numbers should just be retired for bad vibes. And I'm talking about the Pistons number 7, bro. Look at the people behind me. This number has gone through it. Sometimes you just look at a number for a specific team and go, oh man, that really just has not gone well. I mean, here we have 2 NBA draft picks for us that didn't pan out the way we wanted to. And then we have Thon Maker. Paul Reed wears it now. But that number has changed the hands of so many Pistons players in recent memory that it kind of, whenever I see someone pick this number 7, I'm like, oh God, because it just brings up all the memories of that. I didn't even bring up the fact that Brandon Knight wore the number 7, and that's the number where he got crossed by Kyrie Irving, and then he got dunked on by DeAndre Jordan. So yeah, the vibes around this number are pretty bad right now, and it's gonna take a lot to fix that for a long time coming. I was really curious about a bunch of other teams and their jersey number situation, so I went and found a couple of tweets. So someone tweeted out that the Brooklyn Nets number 1 is cursed, and let me tell you right now, I forgot Jamal Crawford played for the Nets. I think it's really something of note when a jersey number changes hands so fast, especially if Jamal Crawford and Theo Pinson both wore that number in the same season. It's just like, you love the stability of a jersey number, right? It's not always the case, but a lot of times, sometimes jersey numbers that kept changing hands over the course is more of a symbolism of the turnover that's happening in the organization. That means that maybe there might not be a lot of stability in that organization. But it's not always the case, but sometimes you can point to it and be like, okay, so for the Detroit Pistons, people kept getting number 7. I was like, yeah, we're not doing so hot right now. The other number I saw was Raptors number 5, which kind of intrigued me because I hadn't heard about this. But then I looked down and I see Bruno Caboclo, Stanley Johnson. Stanley Johnson's here twice in this video. I didn't mean for that to happen. Yeah, Austin Day, John Lucas. I mean, I get it. So sometimes fans of a franchise might want their favorite player or a player to like stay away from a certain number because of it might be a bad omen. And I totally understand that. As a superstitious fan myself, I get it. Another one is the Knicks number 13, and anytime that Henry Ellenson and Evan Fournier share a basketball jersey number, I totally understand why it would feel haunted. They both played for my basketball team. It did not go well. Okay, I can say that. I'm not even a Knicks fan. I'm a Pistons fan. So they both, a lot of Pistons overlap with this video. I know you might have a question for me, like, are NBA jersey numbers really that serious to the players? And in some cases, yes. Recently on a podcast, Dwayne Wade and Chris Paul talked about how a trade to the Miami Heat for Chris Paul fell through because, get this, Chris Paul and Dwayne Wade both wore the number 3.
We talk about all this about who gonna have the ball. Okay, we can all play together now. CP, I can play off the ball. We done figured all that out. And then somebody said, well, who gonna wear number 3? Silence.
Listen.
Messed the whole trade.
Listen.
Now, for both of them, at the time of this trade, it's really understandable because Chris Paul, his nickname is CP3. That is his brand. He has worn the number 3 for his entire NBA career. Seeing Chris Paul in a jersey that isn't the number 3 would feel weird to me. Likewise, for Dwayne Wade, he did change his jersey number at the end of his career, but at the time of this trade talk, he was respectively in his prime. So I don't know how serious that these trade talks got, but it's understandable from both sides why they didn't want to depart with the number 3. It means so much to them. It's totally understandable for an NBA player to have an attachment to a specific jersey number because sometimes that number just represents certain deeper values than just a numerical figure. And for a lot of times, a jersey number change really perfectly matches with a different part of a player's career so well. An example of this is Dwight Howard. Orlando Magic Dwight Howard wore the number 12. Dwight Howard, other places, not often, not all the time. And this is why I totally understand the Chris Paul thing, because Chris Paul's nickname was CP3. Dwight Howard was sometimes known as D12, in addition to Superman and the other nicknames. But Dwight Howard was known as D12, so for him to change his number is a pretty big deal in my opinion. We're not calling him D8 or D39, are we? An interesting thing with Kevin Durant is the fact that when he left the Warriors for the Nets and went from 35 to 7, the Nets 35 is not retired. And then when he got traded to Phoenix, the number 7 is retired in Phoenix, so Kevin Durant went back to the number 35. It's important for me to say this because Kevin Durant's company is called 35 Ventures. These basketball numbers are extensions of themselves at times. If I mentioned the number 35 just blankly in an NBA landscape, I would think of Kevin Durant first. There are a bunch of other numbers that come to my head in terms of if I named a number, I can easily match it with a basketball player of an era, right? So for me, it's 13, Steve Nash, right? 41, Dirk Nowitzki. I think that connection, that marketing identity and brand identity is more important than we realize in terms of the thought that we give it. Well, the thought that we as fans give it, not like the players and the marketers themselves, right? Because Luka Doncic, the 77, that is his number. And if I ever see him change that number, it's going to look so foreign to me. I'll be like, wow, why is Luka not wearing 77, you know? I think some of the most pronounced jersey changes in basketball are when NBA players go to the Olympics, and there's a reason for that, because in the old international rules, reportedly, you were supposed to wear the numbers 4 through 15, and while that rule has been relaxed, Team USA kind of keeps it up as a tradition, which I think is a really awesome thing because we get to see NBA players in jersey numbers that we don't usually like associate with them. Like seeing Steph Curry wear the number 4 after all of these years of Steph Curry wearing the number 30, right? It's one of the most overused rap sports references in lyrics, like 30 on me like I'm Curry, right? To see Curry wear the number 4 and cook France on the national stage, I feel like when these numbers are here, it's like a special version of them, right? Now, and while not all of these players are wearing different numbers, I like to think that it's like a alter ego, Olympic alter ego of them being like, oh, okay, yeah, LeBron usually wears 23, but now he's wearing 6. Isn't that cool? I think it is. Before I get out of here, I do want to talk about some of my favorite jersey number combinations. So for me, it's the Dirk Nowitzki 41. It's the Kevin Love 42-0 back to 42. I always thought that was cool, just to be able to change that number. When I was a kid growing up, Gilbert Arenas being called Agent Zero and wearing the number 0 was the coolest thing ever. One of the coolest things ever in my eyes. So it looked really weird when he stopped wearing that number. Then, of course, you have my favorite player, James Harden, who just stopped wearing the number 13 and then started wearing the number 1 when he started to play with the Sixers, and he's stayed with that number ever since. Feel free to let me know what your favorite NBA jersey numbers are. Feel free to let me know what your favorite jersey numbers are, because I love to talk about this stuff. Thank you.